Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Alexis, a blind author, content creator, and freelancer. And welcome to this video. This week does bring us a good story, and I'm very excited for it. We're going to talk about Triptych, which gave me nostalgia, and I'll explain in the video how that works. But I got nostalgia and excited. I have not checked to see if there is a second season to this, and hopefully by the end I will let you know. I will let you know by the end if there's a second season or if it's just this. But as I'm recording this intro, I have not checked. But I'm excited to review this for you. Again, a good story. I hope that you enjoy this review. But before we begin and I send you off on your regularly scheduled program, please consider subscribing to the channel if you are enjoying this content and supporting me here. If you would like to support me financially, feel free to check out the methods in the description, which are either check out my books. I have a fantasy debut short story and a poetry collection. So that will be there. You can buy it on your retailer of choice on ebook and audiobook format, or you can buy the ebook from me from my Ko-fi bookshop, which is the next way you can support me. You can either buy the books there or give me a one-time donation or commission beta reading services. You can also commission beta reading services if you're an unpublished author and you need like a fresh set of eyes for your unpublished manuscript. I'm here for you. You can also commission it on Fiverr or email me. Each 1,000 words is $1. So keep that in mind. And also, if you want to see more of my writing, you can check out my blog. I will link my website below, as well as everything else. So yeah, check all that out. And with that out of the way, let's get to the review. I'm really excited to talk about this new series that I found on Netflix. It's only 8 episodes right now, but I don't know if there'll be a season 2. It kind of left it in a way that if they wanted to add a season 2, they could. But also if they don't, it's also perfectly fine. Although there are things you can totally do for a season 2 here, and I find it let me see if it was let's see, is, and I think there are a lot of things that you can definitely you can do here, but like I think it's okay if you don't have it, but like also if you do, I'll be watching. Especially because it stars a great actress. I like her as an actress. Let's see, hold on. But if you were wondering what, let me see, the shows are for Triptych season 2 happening. Okay, so there is a thing that says that the show will likely not return. So it seems like it hasn't been renewed. But for now, this is just my general review of the series, and I hope I can get other people to watch it. This one's really interesting to me. So the series synopsis follows this, like the setup for the series is this. So they kind of walk in on like a hostage situation. These people Becca walks into this her name is Rebecca, but they also call her Becca in the show. She kind of walks into this hostage situation, and when she, with the police, she's a I think she's a she works for the prosecution, and she's like a someone from forensics. It seems like she does like the CSI stuff, so she like can collect evidence and stuff like that. And she basically goes in there with this other guy, and someone is shot. This other person is shot, and when the girl's trying when Becca's trying to help her, she realized they look very much alike. They look very alike. And she's like, how I have a sister, how am I alike? And what's interesting is that the other woman Aleida recognizes her and says her name, and he's like, how the hell do you know my name, right? So it kind of spirals into this investigation, like, how come I have these, like, why do I have this person? And it turns out she ends up finding not just her but another person who also looks exactly like her. And it spirals in this investigation where she's trying to figure out what is actually happening and why these people, these two women, look like her. And it's fun. It was fun series. So first of all, I want to say I watched this series in Spanish because it also has Spanish audio description. So I watched it in Spanish specifically for that. I'll be critiquing it here in this video a little bit, but also I'll be writing a review of this on my blog. It'll probably be out by the time you watch. By the time this video is out, it would have already been out. So I'll link the blog post below. But yeah. So first of all, this show's story writing is good. I like the way that this show sort of just like went with the story. It had a very sorry, I've been filming for a little bit. This will be the last video of my session, so I'm a little bit tired. But it had a really a really good story, and it was really well told. It was very well told, and I think it's well written for that. The pacing of the show for 8 episodes, I think it did a pretty good job. The pacing doesn't feel too fast or too slow. It just feels kind of medium and pretty good with that stuff. And one of the things I loved about it genuinely was like the way that the information was slowly being revealed. So it was very well paced. The information was very well paced, and the episodes felt like just the right amount of length. They just felt like the right length and the right amount of time. So that's helpful, honestly, very helpful. So that's the pacing. I think the themes that were explored here were they were fine. I may have missed a couple because I don't usually watch shows in Spanish, so I may have missed themes here. To be honest, my Spanish comprehension is not always there, and I tend to translate or to try to translate stuff as I watch it in Spanish, so I may have actually missed a couple of things. And the characters are very good. I will say, by the way, that this is kind of this is written in a bit of a soap opera-ish format, but with a little bit more exploration of character. This definitely feels very character driven to me, even though there's a plot. It definitely feels very character driven in my case. I have quite I did enjoy the pacing, though. I did enjoy that kind of stuff. The characters are all very interesting. There are some minor characters who I just was like, it's fine. Like, they're there. I don't hate them. I don't like them. They're just fine. But the characters themselves are pretty interesting, especially by the time you get to the end, when you figure out how much of the triplets' lives is it is coincidental and how much of it was planned and all that happened. Oh, it was insane. The ending of this series, especially the last episode, was insane. It was insane. Like, there's no better way to describe it. It was everything. They definitely made the ending very interesting. And even unexpected in areas. I genuinely thought it was going to take a science fiction turn, but it didn't. I was like, it wasn't completely sci-fi. I was just like, what happened here? Each of the sisters had I'm gonna go into spoilers here because that's like the best way to kind of review some of this stuff. So each of the sisters had a very different life conditions. Like, they were in a different socioeconomic demographic. They were in a different demographic, but so many of their lives was the same. There are so many coincidences to their lives that it was like, oh, it was, if there were so many coincidences where they were just kind of like, why did we have the same thing? Like, why did we lose our parents like days apart or months apart? Why they all had, when they were teenagers, they had a psychologist boyfriend. All of them had a boyfriend who happened to be a psychologist. All of them reached their breaking point at around the same time. Like, it was all a very interesting, it was very interesting dynamic. And they're like, why is it stuff that's like close? And it turns out like they have these visions, these very specific visions about each other and what they do. And I'm like, how, like the visions were never fully explained. Like she could, like there are some things where I'm just like, these visions are not fully explained. So I'm wondering, why didn't you just go sci-fi and make it clones, and they get, and like there was an original, and they were able to like see each other. I don't know. Make that the original can see the clones? Like I don't understand why it didn't just go completely sci-fi. That would have been great. But but that, those are things that they kind of start realizing. And each of them also has a different, different personalities. Like one of them grew up like, I guess what you would call like uh almost like it was like like the almost like the place, it's a place where it was not something where she was completely polite here and there. Like her language was a bit more broken. It was very interesting. And the other two were both polite, but also like one of them was, was very much rich, and the other one was just, I guess, in middle class almost. So you have like rich, poor, and middle class. And I was just like, okay. And then when you find out what happens at the end, though, you were just like, that's very sad. Um, but it's very interesting the way they grew up and how they ended up finding each other. And then you find out at the end. Let me explain why my title is the title. Again, I already said spoilers, so I'm going to spoil the ending. Throughout their investigation, they learn a couple of different things, because they first start by investigating Aleida, because the fact that she got, she got like put in a hospital and stuff like that. So they were looking for her and finding out what the hell led to her death. And then these what ends up happening is, first Tamara is like pretending to taking over Aleida's life and pretending to be her in order to give control to her husband for the company, and to give her mother Pilar control of this foundation that she opened previously. And she does. She makes a sign, and they have control of her assets and her stuff. And it's like, of course, one person didn't believe it. At least one person did not believe it. But she, it happened. Actually, no, about two people didn't believe it, and it was like, yeah, I can see why, and I can see why they didn't do certain things, right? Like they didn't believe it, but also all of this stuff makes the husband look suspicious as shit. Like it makes it sound like he murdered her, and that is what is believed at first. And then you find out that no, he didn't necessarily murder her. He just really didn't, like, she didn't want to lose his like they didn't want to lose everything she worked for, so they did all this stuff illegally, but they did it. So they paid her off, and like she I think she charged about like $1 million to $2 million for them, not dollars, pesos. And I was like, okay, yeah. So they did that, and then they end up working together, finding out more information. And then you have this guy, I think his name is his name is Humberto, and he's like, he seems to like, he seems to like love Becca, but he was also married with kids, and he had an affair with Becca. He was supposed to leave his wife, but then his wife got pregnant, and he wasn't planning to leave her. And it was a very interesting thing. And then she's like, no, I just want you to leave. I don't you know, or whatever. And he ended up going back to Becca and living there. But it was like it was there was some drama. That's why I said it kind of works like a soap opera, because there was a bunch of drama between these people. And and she's so we find out that he kind of tells her, you know, at some point, hey, stay out of this case, stay out of this investigation. And at first it just looks like, yeah, the case is closed, you know, they wanted it closed, so he's just deciding to kind of cooperate with the people. But Becca does not stay out of the case, and she continues to investigate, and she continues to do what she wants. And at some point he offers her help, and she takes it. And then you find out at the end that the person that the reason that they are, because eventually, you know, Tamara goes missing, and then like Umberto tells them he's going to take them to a safe house to be safe, and you know they do. And but you find out that the reason that their lives are all the same is because of an experiment. And what happens is that Lillian, I think her name is Lillian, which is it's a psychologist who was originally helping Becca, made her appear crazy. And that's how, not Becca, I'm sorry, Aleida, made her appear crazy, made her eventually be hospitalized so that I guess she can be controlled. And she's insane. She's it's why I put psycho mom in the title, like, because you find out that biologically they're her daughters. And what she goes on this villain-ish monologue where she's like, the advantage because someone else originally started this experiment, but um he ended up deciding not to do it of the fact that he um because of the fact that they that people discover what he was up to, and everyone's like, no, don't do that. So he ended up deciding not to continue the experiment. But she did. She was still interested, and she ended up putting this stuff. And one of the advantages she had is that she had this connection with this guy who put her in front of like the I think some kind of investigation. And then the other advantage is that she's a woman, and she could use her own eggs to create children, because eventually the technology for fertilization grew. And she ended up putting her eggs in like a substitute, like a surrogate stomach, I guess, or a surrogate mother of sorts. And they gave birth to her, and um she basically made them go to different, they live in different socioeconomic uh statuses, and they experienced everything at the same time. So like, for example, and they were always monitored. There were always studies being done on them. They were always being monitored their entire lives because of this woman's crazy experiment. And turns out Aleida's still alive, but she was like drugged, and she ended up having to get out. It was crazy. It was insane. The ending was one of the most action-packed episodes, and you find out that Umberto was working for this lady for years, and he was one of um, Becca's monitors. It was insane. There is no better way to describe it. It was crazy, and I was just like, what? Why? Why? This woman is insane. And honestly, I like how she justifies some of the things, like, you know, because they were being followed and they were shot at. And it's like, no, honey, yeah, you were shot at, but I wasn't trying to kill you. I was only trying to scare you. And I'm like, why are you justifying this, you crazy lady? It was just so hilarious to me. But also, I love, side note, this is a thing I actually really enjoy. I enjoy women who are just insane. I enjoy, at least fictionally, I don't enjoy it in real life, but in fiction, I enjoy women who are just totally insane and just give these villain monologues and have like these psychotic personalities. There's just something so interesting about them as characters. I especially love because they assumed that she wasn't working by herself. Becca assumed that it was this other guy that was originally the originator of the experiment, and she's like, why is it that every time that when a woman has a plan, you assume that there must be a guy involved, like there must be a man involved. There's something so delightful about this kind of trope. I don't know. I just like it. I'm trash for it. I'll take it. It's cool. But like, I really enjoyed that her villain monologue and her psychotic personality. I really like the ending though, the way she was found, which is why I thought it could potentially lead to a second season, because the way she was found is like she was holding the lamp and she was like crying. So like they hadn't found the psychologist. It was just like she ran somewhere you won't be able to find her. And I don't know if there's I think there's definitely enough room for a second season, because there are things that weren't addressed. So for example, there was a point where Tamara had sex with Aleda's husband, and he called her Aleda, which made her mad. But also like that was never addressed at the end. And you know what's interesting? It was that one scene. I hate that it didn't ghost anywhere, but you know, that scene could have gone in so many places. Like maybe switch that scene to where he seemed very suspicious. Cause listen, the things that Aleda's husband does are suspicious as shit. Okay, they're so suspicious. Like literally everything he does has red flags all over it when it comes to when it comes to the fact that he's hiding her death. Like it has red flags all over it. So make it look like maybe like she originally she made a bad impression, right? She made a bad impression on purpose, right? This is how I would have written it personally, because I like this. So here's how I would have written it personally. I would have had her make that bad impression where she's charging a lot of money, like she did. Like Tamara would just be charging a lot of money to keep his secret, like she did, thus giving Pilar a very bad impression of her, and wanting and just disliking her. But then, because she met Aleida and it's like the murder was too suspicious, she would be on the inside, right? And everyone thinks she's terrible, and she's like she's giving bad impressions, and she everyone thinks like she's not the best person. And have her be a lot more intelligent, and have her use Aleda's husband. Have her like manipulate him and bring him kind of like under her spell, even seduce him. Go as far as seduction if you want, but have her manipulate him to a point where she fell under her spell, and have her get whatever information she can out of him, at least until she figures out and I would have actually made him you could have made him evil, where you could have like gone where he actually did cover up the experimentation, and you could have like and he could have been part of it. But you know, this part works anyway. But like if you made it, even if he was evil, like make him, maybe he wasn't hiding experimentation, but make him hide something important, that he wasn't giving up for one reason or another. But make her manipulate and seduce him and bring him under a spell enough that he would eventually trust her, and that he would tell her. That's what I would have honestly done. That's how I would have written out her character. And then have it be brought up, and then she's like, by the way, I slept with your husband and I was trying to take revenge on your behalf, because I felt like he did this to you, and we find out this happened, this happened, this happened. And it's because I would have written it like this specifically because this show gave me some serious nostalgia. So around like 2008, or I think it was about 2009, there was a soap opera in Telemundo called El Rostro de Analia, which would translate to The Face of Analia. And it has some similar plot lines, except without the psycho mom and the completely psycho doctor. He was obsessed at some point, but he he eventually got better and he was very good. But basically, the plot of El Rostro de Analia is the setup for El Rostro de Analia is that this woman has the perfect life. Like, she is a very successful and ruthless businesswoman. She's extremely successful and she has like a handsome husband, but like when it comes to her marriage, she can't fully keep track of it, even though she thinks she has a great marriage. Turns out they're celebrating. She has a beautiful daughter, and like it feels like her family and her life in general are perfect. She ends up there's a, the first episode of this novella is that they're celebrating her anniversary, and she finds out that night, she finds that out that her husband has an affair with her cousin, and she storms out of the house and she starts driving, and this woman is in the backseat of her car pointing a gun at her because this other woman, Analia, was basically, in order to prove her loyalty to this gangster, she's like, okay, you got to kill this woman who's becoming a danger to my business. He's like, okay, and she does. But she doesn't plan to kill Mariana, which is the name of the woman who just storms out and starts driving. But she points a gun to make it look like she's about to kill this woman, and she makes her drive, and she starts like driving like really really fast. And then at some point, Analia tries to stop her, and it's like, okay, it's okay, you can stop driving. And she's like, what's the point? Like, everything is terrible. And she drives really fast, and I think I don't remember if she drives off a bridge, but she definitely crashes, and there is an accident, and Mariana appears to be dead, and it all looks like Analia killed this woman. Then comes this doctor, and he finds the remains of who he believes to be Analia, because he finds the remains, he finds his body, and he finds the the identification of Analia, who he based on what he sees, it turns out she has like this criminal record, like she's a gangster, and I think even it's a drag trafficker, I can't remember. But he finds out all this, and he's like, and he finds this woman's picture, and he ends up with his assistant, he ends up reconstructing this woman and giving her the face, like reconstructing her face and whatever. But problem, Anna, who she's known as now, because she like the woman wakes up without any memory of who she is. So the guys just call her Anna, and for a while she's not allowed to leave the house, but eventually she ends up leaving, and she ends up meeting Daniel, who was Mariana's husband, and his daughter Adriana, because she saves Adriana from drowning. Yep, that's how you want to. That's the meet cute again, and they start this relationship. But at some point, it is when they're going to get married or something. Adriana's mom kind of like, she ends up going to jail because she ends up being accused of Mariana's murder, and she doesn't remember any of it. And then she finds out who she really is when she's in jail. She was this woman named Ana Lucia, who was actually a cop. She was basically like a double agent, and she was working undercover to put this gangster in jail, and she specifically chose to do it and got all the training in order to get revenge on the boyfriend who this gangster killed. And now she's living this life of this woman who she does not remember, and living all this stuff. It's very exciting, honestly. It's a very good novella. It's a very good soap opera. But the point is, this gave me some nostalgia because the cloning, because there was cloning, and it felt kind of sci-fi, and all the reconstruction. But also, it gave me, there was a part of this episode, of this novella, where the real Ana Lucia turns out to be alive. And it was the fact that the doctor ended up keeping her prisoner there, and he ended up reconstructing, her face. He ended up reconstructing her face, and apparently the doctor got obsessed with her and that he loved her or whatever. And he ended up keeping her imprisoned in this one place. And she eventually escapes, and now there is the real Analia or Ana Lucia, and then there is the other woman who people know as Anna, and Anna remembers that her name is Mariana. She gets her memories back and she realizes she's Mariana. She's the woman who was was supposed to die at that time. But here's the thing: there are other people who actually realized who she was, that it was Mariana, and it was very interesting. But yeah, she realized she's Mariana, and she's doing all this thing to try to get her life back. But at the time, she is stuck, still living um Ana Lucia's life. So in order to now that this woman is living her life, though, like Ana Lucia can't just waltz into her life again. So she has to pretend to be Mariana for a short time, or pretend to be the Ana that everybody knew. And what she does is she tries to while Analia tried to well no wait not Lucia while Mariana, being Ana, tried to do things, live Ana Lucia's life, and try to fix stuff and make stuff better for Ana Lucia. um Ana Lucia tried to get revenge on Sara, who was Mariana's cousin, who was sleeping with her husband and stuff like that. So she actually tried to get revenge. And I was like, we appreciate female support of vengeance sometimes. Sometimes that's necessary. We truly appreciate it. So it was very interesting. That's why I was like, it gave me some nostalgia. Like, it really made me think of El Rostro de Analia. And I'm like, I wish I could find the entire series. I can find episodes of this on YouTube, but I can't find like the entire series on YouTube. And I don't know where else they have it. And I'm like, this whole thing doesn't want to watch it. Like, I'm feeling so nostalgic of El Rostro de Analia right now. Like, except with the except with the psycho mom, and I just felt nostalgic. It was so interesting. But let me know. I recommend Triptych. It is on Netflix. It's actually really good. I totally recommend it. Let me know. Have you watched Triptych? Do you plan to watch it? And if you do watch it, and if you have watched it, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I did watch it. I did watch it in Spanish. Oh wait, before I leave, another thing I want to talk about: audio description. So again, I watched it in Spanish, and the audio description was in Spanish. So for those of you unaware, audio description is a separate audio track added to visual media that describes visual aspects. It's mainly intended for blind and visually impaired audiences, but it can be enjoyed by and basically benefit anybody. So the audio description of this series was okay to me. So the writing itself is good because it does fit like the audience they target, and it's pretty understandable. Like, the language and word choice does fit the language the audience it targets. The descriptions themselves also pretty okay. The one thing I will say is I think there is lack of detail in certain areas, including physical features. I don't think they really described physical features and clothing very well, or at all. It's a very minimal style of description, and the con to having a minimal style of description is the lack of detail. But at the same time, you also don't want to overwhelm the viewer, and that is one of the pros of that kind of detail. So of that kind of description. So it's hit or miss for me, but I don't hate it and I don't love it. So the describer's vocal performance was okay. He had a they had like it was a neutral performance. It was not like super engaged or super not engaged. It was mainly very neutral. At the same time, they were engaging. They didn't interrupt dialogue or any kind of commentary, but they were not distracting. They were just neutral, and it was fine. I will say I did have a slight issue a little bit with the performance, because there were areas, especially in the opening credits, where there was a point where it felt like the describer's voice kind of changed a bit, and it like deepened, and then it went back to its normal thing. I don't know if that's an editing problem I'm not sure what that is, but it was like it like deepened, almost like it went a little bit underwater and then it like came back to normal. It sounded a bit weird sometimes. It's very rare, but you notice it more in the opening credits, and then it just goes back to normal. So it was a bit jarring for me personally. And guys, Netflix has this audio description in 2 languages, in Portuguese and in Spanish. It's the bare minimum. Not even, actually, it's not even bare minimum. Apple does it better than this. I looked at one of the series that I want to watch in Apple TV Plus. Actually, I want to rewatch the first season because I watched the first season, but not the second one. And I look at it, I'm like, I want to double check. I want to see something. In every language that the series is offered, Apple offers audio description. But I'm not surprised with Apple. Every time I see with Netflix, though, that they offer audio description in more than one language, I'm shocked. You know why? Because Netflix doesn't usually do that. But Netflix needs to do better. I'm glad they at least offer it in another language. That's a step up. But still, So, in conclusion though, the story is good. The audio description is meh for me. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It was just there. I can't say, I think I've only found one audio description in Spanish that I that I really, really, really like, but this is not fully it. I rate the audio description of this though like a 3-star. Let me see, hold on. Physical or clothes. Not even a setting description. Only 2 languages. Or not in all languages. Yeah, 2 stars. I would rate this 2 stars. I'm sorry, I was kind of like mumbling to myself because I have a scale for this. So I would rate this 2 stars. The description, the audio description. The series though was definitely at least a 4-star. So that was fun. I had a great time. Let me know what you think. I hope you watch Triptych. And if you plan to watch it, let me know. And if you don't, I understand. But also, just let me know. And if you have watched it, I want to compare thoughts. All right, welcome to the other side. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts. As I said in the comments, I want to compare thoughts. What do you think? I very much, as you can see, enjoyed this series. And as promised in the intro, I would let you know if there is a second season. There is not. It looks like it does say, I think it's just 8 episodes. It looks like it's just a limited series. So if you're looking for a good standalone series, this might be it. So we're capping off January with a good Netflix series. I'm very happy about it. So let me know your thoughts. Soon we'll be in February. I don't know what's next. I'm sort of going by whatever I can find on a whatever was recorded, and I've had to like redo my schedule a bit for these videos. So I'm not quite sure what's coming up next week, but whatever it is will be the first video of February. I hope that you've enjoyed it so far. You've enjoyed January and everything that I have put out so far. Let me know your thoughts. Also, side note, I have really been enjoying editing these videos because, especially now, because while I have been editing for 2 hours, I've edited about 4 videos. Part of the reason I've been enjoying these edits is not just because these reviews are interesting, it's because I am playing myself at double speed, and I find that it is more enjoyable to edit at double speed, listen to videos at double speed. I find myself a bit more bearable. So I have definitely been enjoying editing these videos. It's been great. But I'll see you next week with hopefully something good. In the meantime, if you're enjoying this content, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you're aware when I post videos. Also consider subscribing to my blog and checking out my writing. If you would like, the website is in the description as usual. If you would like to support me monetarily, one of the best ways you can do that is to check out my books. I have a fantasy short story debut and a debut poetry collection. So those are 2 books I have out. I am currently working on my 3rd book and will hopefully have it out soon. The hope is to get it out by fall of this year, but I don't know. But honestly, I'm still excited. I look forward to seeing where we're going with it. And it'll be my first novella. And it'll be the second in a series. So check those out on your retailer of choice in ebook and audiobook format. You can also purchase the book through me directly on Ko-fi. I have a Ko-fi shop. You can get the ebook that way. There's no DRM, so you should be able to keep it without an issue. And you can also support me by giving me a one-off donation on Ko-fi. And you can also commission beta reading services either through Ko-fi, Fiverr, or by emailing me. If you're commissioning through Fiverr, or if you're like asking for a service through Fiverr, you are if nothing fits the standard packages, feel free to send me a message. I will create a custom offer for you, because each 1,000 words equals $1. So let me know if you need that through Fiverr. Feel free to message me, or you can just email me and let me know how many words is your manuscript, and so on and so forth. I keep neglecting mentioning this, but I am mainly interested in beta reading fantasy and romance, because those are the things I think I am better at with critiques. So those are my main genres. So if you are an author who wants to publish their manuscript and are looking for a fresh set of eyes, I may be that person. If you're enjoying, these reviews and any critiques I have made and the way I deliver, obviously it'll be different for you and so on and so forth, but I am happy to help you with the best of my ability. So with all that in mind, make sure to check all that out. Everything will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week, and until next time, consume stories. Bye!